You know,
Right.
we don't feel a need to prove ourselves at all. We don't need to stay ahead of any sort of imaginary, illusory curve. You know, we genuinely want to explore space, you know, inner space and outer space, literally, with music.
Troy, thank you so much for your time today. We're doing this very short to the release of an album. So in other words, you might look very calm and relaxed right now, but we can't even imagine how hectic your schedule is. How are you doing today?
Well, you've got it. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what my life is at the moment. It's absolutely hectic and upside down. It's tumbling all over the place, but I'm extremely happy with everything that's going on. You know, the new album, we've got 2 more days now. Well, really, only a day to go before it's released out into the world, and that's all very exciting. And I've had the opportunity to talk about it to splendid guys like you. So it's all been good.
Thank you. Now, how do you look at this album? Because yes, this is the 10th Nightwish album. This is also the 3rd album of the quote-unquote new Nightwish, maybe. And I have a feeling that if I ask different members in the band the same question, they might have a different answer than you. But how do you look at this?
Well, it didn't start as a trilogy. You know, it started as an intense realization that we shared a deep interest in something, a deep interest in something really important that we felt should be explored with our vehicle, you know, with Nightwish. So Endless Forms, Most Beautiful became a serious labour of love. And the other thing about this is that it was something that all of us were really excited to be exploring. Every member of the band. There wasn't one member who went, "Oh, I'm not too keen on that. You know, I don't really want to do that." So it was a unanimous decision to go down this road. And then by the end of Endless Forms, we felt that it needed to go further. So then we went into Human Nature, and then by then it was obvious that we weren't going to stop. You know, we had to go even further than that. And Yesterwynde is the culmination of that excitement, really, that process of understanding our direction clearer, and realizing that we had nothing holding us back, and we had full artistic freedom, which is a rare thing these days. We have a wonderful disregard for what anybody might think. You know, it's really vital as an artist to feel like that, because you can't fool all the people all of the time. No, you can't. You can't be free if you're thinking about back catalogue, or if you're thinking you have to sound a certain way, or you have to follow a certain style. You have to become part of some kind of wave of genre. You have to free yourself from all of that, otherwise you're pretty doomed, you know. But we're lucky in that respect, is in that we just do what we want.
You know, you're in this crazy roller coaster since joining this band. I mean, obviously you were already working with the band before you joined as a full-time member, but how this band has evolved since you and Flora joined is just insane. And I think you're also a person that is grounded enough to appreciate that. Like, on paper, none of this makes sense. That a band that, completely to your point, doesn't care about the boxes that people try to push you in, that releases 9-minute songs as singles, that has, 25-minute songs, what have you, to close shows, to completely embrace trying to put billions of years of evolution into one album, then a second album and a third album. Like, on paper, none of that makes sense, but you seem to have an appreciation that that it's really special that even if it doesn't make sense on paper, it's actually happening, because you are one of the elite few that can headline any metal festival or even just mainstream rock festivals at this point. Are you someone that has to take an active step backwards and pinch yourself to kind of think about that? Or is that grounding, if you will, always there?
Well, you've touched on something really splendid and really important in regards to the makeup of this band, in regards of what we all want to achieve. Not that we're all extremely ambitious as such. We genuinely do float with this muse, whatever the muse is.
Mm-hmm.
We float along with it, and we do follow wherever the wind's blowing, but only within ourselves. Nothing, as we touched on early, Jasper. It's nothing to do with the winds of fashion or even deliberate winds of change. We don't deliberately think we must do something brand new and do something that's more. Something that we haven't done before. Right. We don't feel a need to prove ourselves at all. We don't need to stay ahead of any sort of imaginary, illusory curve. We genuinely want to explore space. Inner space and outer space, literally, with music. And again, that's something we're lucky in that we all of us have an affinity with those kind of. They're not left of field ideas, but they're subject matters that not a lot of people really think about that much. It's so kind of it's an elusive thing. It's the sciences, and the sciences are something you have to give yourself to and you have to concentrate on. But it's not like that at all. We're more interested in the big picture that science gives us, and the humanities and philosophy, all of those important subjects. We're interested in diving into all of that and using our palette to express those deep and wide, mysterious, almost mystical ideas, and that's what excites us. Which is why this did turn into a trilogy.
Yeah.
I mean, the next album we do could be an album about the origins of ice cream. We don't know or gin. We don't know which way we're going, and that's the wonderful thing.
Ice cream. Let's just put two and two together. Come on, let's make it happen.
A concept album on ice cream could be. Yeah, we could do that. But no, the point is that we're very free. Yeah. We're very free, and we're very free form as well in our realization of composition and how the music's put together.
In doing it with that mindset, somehow you've also, because you're now, yes, sure, today you are talking to somebody that is really only focused on interviewing heavy metal bands, and you talk to the metal hammers and the metal injections out there, but you're also being interviewed by Forbes magazine now. Usually when hard rock bands get to that level, you have an army of metalheads that will yell out things like, sell out and what have you, and they'll have gatekeeper people going like, you're not, what you used to be. Somehow you guys have evaded that. I mean, I'm sure there will be people that will, you're so big that if you have 1 million positive comments, there's going to be at least one negative comment trying to, tear you down. That's just the reality of the scale of popularity. But Nightwish as a band has kind of evaded all of that somehow. At least that's how it comes across to me.
Well, that's exactly what it is, and that's really insightful and astute, really, because that we're not set in our ways, but we're very committed to authenticity.
Right.
We want to be real. We don't engage in mudslinging. We're one of those rare things in that we're actually a band that loves each other as well. Mm-hmm. We don't have separate dressing rooms. We all go into the same, apart from Flora, obviously. She can't be wandering around in her pants in front of us. She wouldn't like that. No. But the rest of us, we're all very very close. And we, a lot of bands, you read, interviews with bands, or you see features, and they talk about how, they went at the end of the tour, they all go their separate ways and blah blah blah, and that's it. And then they reconnect to make another album. That's not it with us. We stay in touch with each other all the time. We're all very we're close friends, and that, of course, is gonna have an effect on the complexion of the band. But what you said is absolutely spot on. And Forbes, or I did an interview with Harvard, music school. Now, you wouldn't get Danny Filth out of Cradle of Filth doing an interview with Harvard Music School. It just wouldn't happen.
Right. Now,
Cradle of Filth are great. Now, I'm not dissing anyone, but you see my point. Is what I'm trying to say is that Nightwish as a band kind of transcends genre, and its eclecticism is its strength. I think its mood swings are natural and smooth, and they mean something. The mood swings, and everything has got inner and deeper meaning for us, and that's a realization that we find in the music as well, despite ourselves. It's a truly wonderful thing, and I know for a fact that Nightwish fans feel that deeply. That Nightwish fans go seriously into it. They love it, and we get at shows, we get people in their 80s, and we get little kids, with noise cancelling headphones on, little tiny kids. We get everything. We get the whole spectrum of music lovers. And even my own experience, my mum and dad would never listen to metal, ever. But they love Nightwish. And, I'll say to my dad's a huge music fan. And he'll go, yeah, he says, but Nightwish isn't, it's not heavy metal though, is it? I was going, well, no, we're kind of symphonic metal. He was going, he says, well, that's more like it, orchestral music with guitars in it. I was going, well, it's more than that. He was going, yeah, but it's not heavy metal. It's not like bloody Black Sabbath. I'm going, well, okay, but we're again, it's a road that we found ourselves on that has developed from its origins. Yeah. Its origins were an idea of becoming a symphonic idea.
Yeah.
But it never got there until quite late. And then when it really found its feet, and it really started to integrate with orchestra rather than be accompanied by an orchestra, there's a big difference. I think Nightwish is the only band I've ever heard that has actually integrated, became one with an orchestra rather than been an accompaniment, or vice versa. And that's something that really interested me from day one when I first heard them. Was it felt like, hang on, this is a band who are playing inside an orchestra rather than with one. I think this latest album, Yesterwynde, have you heard it yet, Jasper?
Yeah. I've had the pleasure of fully hearing the album already.
Wonderful. Well, I think this one, more than any of the other albums, especially even the trilogy, I think this one is more wider. It's more spacious and more detailed than the other albums as far as the orchestration goes, which helps the band ride within it a lot more comfortably, and some people, so I've heard, some people have said that Flaw should be on, Flaw's not loud enough and all this kind of nonsense. Flaw's exactly where she should be. This music it's not one person sat on top and everybody else underneath or behind. This is music that is purely symphonic. All the parts have got equal voices, and it's and of course you'll have heard that some of the bigger songs, Flaw is an instrument in the orchestra. She's right. It's like opera. But she's there. You can hear everything she wants if you want to hear her. But you can also zoom in on the clarinet part, and you can hear exactly what the violas and the cellos are doing, all at the same time, and the guitars, and the drums, and the bass, and whatever's going on. So I think it's the most detailed sonically.
I think a lot of people that have heard some of the singles, but not have a chance to listen to the full album like I've had, like you've had, from start to finish as that journey. Like, I know that I even experience the singles as they're part of this bigger thing in a different way.
Yeah.
And I'm not the first one to say that, you know, like in the reviewer community and what have you, in the journalist community, I've seen more people go like, I couldn't really place the single or of this single or that single, wasn't sure where to go with that. But then as I hear the full album, it kind of just all makes sense. And it doesn't mean that it's one prog piece of, 65 minutes without stopping, because it goes intense, it goes calm, and what have you. So I feel like that's a really cool flow where this more than the two previous ones in this trilogy feels like it is meant to be experienced as one piece.
Indeed,
do you agree with that?
100%. Yeah. Really, ideally, it's difficult. It's difficult in these times that we're living in. The times that we're living in are good for goldfish. The attention span of people is pretty compromised, unfortunately. Because I suppose people spend so much time getting instant access to things and clicking off things or on things, and people don't have the. I think it's detrimental to people's imagination to be addicted to screens. I think it really.
Yeah, Nightwish is bigger than ever, though, which is interesting. Right? Because I hear what you say, and I agree with that. And obviously, we live in a TikTok society.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But no, don't get me wrong, Jasper. Look, it's wonderful. Look, I'm talking to you now. You're in Canada. Yeah. I'm in Yorkshire. This is beautiful. This technology is a wonder. It's a marvel, and I love it. But I don't get involved in social media because it's a boiling cauldron of terror. So I don't get involved in that. But and of horror, and it's not good for people to spend too much time in there, because it's a vacuum, and worse still, it makes people do things that they wouldn't normally do, not face to face. They behave with each other in really quite rude ways, and I don't like any of that.
For sure.
But but of course, it's enabled us to do everything we're doing now, and it's wonderful. I love it. I love the technology. But getting back to the point is, you should have headphones on. You should press play, and you should give it 70 minutes, and give it the duration, and then come out the other side and see how you feel. That's what should happen. That's what used to happen when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I'd be a little kid listening to Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, and I'd go from the beginning to the end, and I felt like I'd been enriched by it, and changed in some way. It wasn't like listening to pop music. There was something else going on, and that's what we don't aspire to that so much, but we want people to get the most out of the music, and the way you do that is to give it your attention. And really, really commit yourself to some time. I mean, an hour isn't that long.
Now, there are still moments that, people are always going to gravitate towards specific moments, specific hooks, specific melodies, what have you. For me, two of the songs that really stood out, and they're in the buffet of long and epic songs that you guys have on this album, they're a little bit more on the concise side, but Sway and Hyreth for me really stand out. And I'm gonna use that as an extremely forced segue to ask you about something else, because one of the elements that makes those songs really exciting and special is the back and forth between yourself and Floor on these songs. I briefly bumped into you when you were here last time in Toronto. I bumped into you and Floor as you were grabbing burgers across the street from the venue, and took a quick photo and all that kind of stuff. It was a very quick encounter. But I want to ask you, because you and Floor, in very different circumstances, joined this band, but roughly at the same time. And I just happened to see you together, enjoy a break from everything, and grabbing some food. Is there a special kinship between the two of you? Like, is because you've been on that journey, in a similar fashion, if you will, both with your challenges, obviously, that you had to go through. You with a little bit more experience. I don't know if you were able to coach her a little bit more on what it's like joining this crazy machine, which is at the time, now Nightwish, we can talk about like, this undisputed, transcending beast that everybody will say headliner. The years before you and Flora joined were bigger question marks for the band, right? So it's not the same as joining a band of Nightwish now, which is one of the biggest bands in the world. That was a very different scenario. So going through that journey roughly at the same time, has that created a tighter kinship?
Excellent. It most certainly has, because it had to, really. When I started to work with the band, when I was invited to do some showcase shows with them, and then that went so well. We all got on well. We got on really well together. Mm-hmm. That I was invited to go to the States and Canada, I think, as well. This is on the Dark Passion Play tour. So this would be in 2008, something like that. I did a handful of shows in America, and they were in little clubs. It wasn't like what we do now. It wasn't arenas. And they were small venues. So I have that in me. I have that memory in me all the time. When we walk out into arenas, I think, do you remember when we were at the Astoria Club? It was a little club, it held 800 people. And there's a wonderful sense of achievement, really, of achievement, not in a shallow way, but achievement.
Not in a braggy ego way.
Absolutely not. Absolutely none of those things apply to us. An achievement in the way that the music itself has been relentlessly focused on authenticity again. The music itself has driven everything, and that, regardless and despite the prevailing winds, we've managed to not just survive but develop as well. Develop in lots of different directions, and our palette now is even wider. Our colours are multitudinous, and we're really privileged, really, to be in the state we're in. But with Flo, I suppose when the pair of us were invited to join the band full time at the same time, on the same night, in a hotel bar somewhere in Switzerland, I think it was. But how could you? And the beauty of it was they asked us to join with the chance that we might say no. They were like, would you? I was like, well, of course. By that time we'd done an American tour. We'd salvaged the band. The band was in serious danger of splitting, and we'd salvaged it. And we felt like we were back on a wonderful even keel. And that's when this invite came, off the back of all of that. After going through terrible storms, we came to nice, clement weather. And so, me and Flo, well, we hit it off really early. And we're very... well, as I said earlier, we're all very, very close. We're very close, and we just hit the sweet spot where we thought we could do anything. Now, when it came to Endless Forms, it was like the sky is the limit. And let's go for it. Let's just do everything we possibly can. And it came to this. It came to Yesterwynde, which to me feels like a pinnacle, really, of the spirit of the thing. A friend of mine in LA described us back in 2013 as a vehicle of spirit, and we all loved that so much that we called one of our DVDs the Vehicle of Spirit, and we subscribed to that label 100%. We're a vehicle of spirit, and that really says it all for us, for Nightwish, but how we all feel about not just the music, but ourselves and each other and the world as well.
I have a feeling I could ask you 5 more questions and we could be talking for 2 more hours, but
I wish we could.
I wish we could as well, but we need to stay respectful to your brutal schedule. I obviously won't ask you to put you on the spot for sharing things about shows that eventually will come, because we know the stance of the band and things will be announced when they're ready to be announced. But we all know that a lot of people are knocking on your door louder and louder and louder. So we'll all just keep our eyes open for those 2025 festival announcements.
Absolutely. But we'll be back. We'll be back. You know, we have to have this hiatus. We have to for our health, for every sense of our health. So we've got that, but we don't intend to stop. We'll be back. I mean, 2026 is an anniversary year as well. Right. So there's a good chance we'll come out again roaring and flying. You know, full steam ahead.
Okay, so now we see you already. Like, you can picture you being dropped down on cables, flying over the stage. You know, playing all your instruments on these shows. It has to be epic now.
How did you see our plan? You've seen this. Oh,
yeah, you'll have to come up with something else now. Oh. Awesome. Well, Troy, have the most wonderful, next, let's say 29 hours or so until, like, in Australia, the album is completely available.
It's pretty crazy.
And I hope you and everybody in this craziness, can take a step back and enjoy that special moment, because it's a 10th album. It's almost anniversary year. It's the 3rd album of the new Nightwish, let's call it. And lots of reasons to celebrate, and I hope that you can do that. And then in the meantime, if Black Sabbath wasn't already hard enough for your dad, let's play some Cradle of Filth or some Cannibal Corpse for him, and let's see how he reacts, and then maybe he loves you guys even more. Troy, thank you so much.
My dad will love Cannibal Corpse. I'm going to do that on your recommendation. I'll take.
There you go, some Hammer Smash days, you know. It's like evening music, right? Background music.
Well, I think the one he'll really like is Followed Home and Then Killed. He'll love that song.
Yeah, hey, that's nobody has a fear of that anymore these days, right? So fantastic. Awesome. Troy, it was such a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much. I can't wait until I see you again on the stage, and we'll all be there, and we'll now all know all the songs, all the lyrics, and we'll even be a better experience for you guys.
It's been lovely, Jasper. Lovely, really lovely talking to you.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.